Hey YouTubers and RV Rebel watchers, welcome to my channel. If you have never been here before, if you're a regular, thanks for coming back and watching my videos. I am in Quartzsite and right now I am camping at the Roadrunner BLM land, and I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the rules. Why do we choose to live a nomadic life? Because we want to be free from rules. We want to be free. We want to be able to go out and do things and be free, right? So I guess a lot of people just didn't think that there would be rules. There are rules. And there seems to be some confusion, I think, with some people, not all, mostly. What are the nomad rules to camping out, to boondocking? There are LTVA rules and there are boondocking rules anywhere else on BLM land when you're out west and even when you're out east. But you should check to see what are the nomad rules. Yeah, those are different rules. What is the etiquette of camping when you're boondocking out in the middle of nowhere? What are the rules? Some people say there are no rules. But there's etiquette. Just like there's etiquette in dating and etiquette in responding to reservations, when you're invited someplace, there's etiquette. And who makes that up? Not Irma Bombeck. Oh, might be aging myself. Not Ann Landers. Not the critics on YouTube. They don't make up the rules. They don't even know the rules. Some of the critics, they've never even been out here camping. But they want to criticize us. And then there's those people who all of a sudden, if there's some kind of a discrepancy or a misunderstanding, right away they blame it on the YouTubers. Yeah, that the YouTubers are conceited, arrogant, stuck up, entitled, whatever. And then those are commenters who are commenting on a YouTuber's channel who was just may have been complaining. So let's talk about some of the rules, at least the way that I was introduced to them. Usually, like when I go to the van build or some of the other events like RTR, ParTR, Nomads in Paradise, which was my campsite in Florida. I usually park away from the big camp. And I have reasons for that. And some of them are because I want to be able to do my thing, and also because I stay up late. And so I don't want to keep anybody else up late. I don't want my dog to bother people. I do it because I'm considerate of others. I don't want my dog bothering people. I don't want my generator bothering people. So once I'm parked, if you choose to come and park by me, well then you can get up and move if you don't like the way I'm camping, because I was there first. And that's the nomad rule. The nomad camping etiquette. Whoever gets to a camp and is there first, if you come and join them and you're invited to join them at their camp, you go by their camp rules. Okay? You don't invite your own people without talking to the person that invited you to their camp. You don't give out your location to everybody on the internet unless you were invited, unless it's your camp, but unless you talk to the person at your camp. Now this is for boondocking out in the wilderness. This has nothing to do with being at a campground, because if you give out your location at a campground and you're parked with other nomads and they don't like it, oh well, you know. And if you don't want people to know where you're at, don't put your name on the back of your rig like I do. My door is open. I've always said if my door is open, come up a safe distance and yell out to me. Give me a shout out. Hey, Carolyn, RV Rebel Girl, are you in there? Are you ready for company? That's what I do. I do that before I go up to someone's camper. I mean, Aja will tell you, pandemonium. Even when I've been, part of her camp, invited to her camp, I keep a safe distance from her doorway because she could be editing videos. She could be working. She could be napping and sleeping with the door open, to stay. And I always say, rather than pound on the door, I always ask, hey, Aja, are you ready for company? Are you accepting company? So let's talk about the Nomad rules. Nomad rules are much different than the LTVA rules. Okay, so let's talk about both. LTVA has rules. Now you can look them up on their website. They have a whole pamphlet, but they don't have very many rules. They have a quiet time rule. Excuse me. They have a quiet time rule. They have fees, the rules for your fees, and they have rules if you're in a van without a toilet and you're not self-contained. And look up the meaning of self-contained according to LTVA. They have rules for that. You have to park near a bathroom. That's where you have to make your camp. And they also have rules of how close you can park to another vehicle. And it's right in the rules. Look it up yourself. Every camp might be a little different, and they post individual rules. But for the main part, the speed limit is 15, no more than 15 miles an hour. You have to turn your generators off at a certain time at night. I think it's 9 or 10. And you can't turn them on before 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is early. Ugh. But every park might be a little different. So you need to check with that park, that LTVA park, to know what that rule is. You have to pay your fees, etc. They also have rules about how close you can park to another camp. 15 feet. Yes. You have to be 15 feet from somebody else's camp. And you're not supposed to be putting stones up and everything, dividing your camp. If you're the first one there, it's your camp. On the Nomad rules. Nomad rules. The first person to establish a campsite, or how should I put that? It becomes their camp. So I'm the first one here in my location right now, and I'm on BLM land. So if you were to come here to this area, you would not park right next to me. That is rude because there's so much other room to park. Why would you park right on top of my camper? But if I invite you here, like for instance, Camper Van Kevin invited me to his camp. So when I went to his camp, he told me where he was at and where I could park. Because I was right in his camp, his camp and Felix's camp. There was plenty of room there for me to camp and, where he was at. And when I was taking video, I did take video, which he was okay with, and because he took video also. I asked him if it was okay to put something on. I don't remember what it was we were talking about. I said, oh, is that okay to put on here? And he said yes. So you got to be conscientious and respectful with, there's certain things that you have to, be respectful and conscientious and considerate about. Now, once again, if you got your name on the back of your rig like I do, you can't expect to be anonymous or hidden. You just tell them the whole world when you're driving down the street who you are, and they could see where you're going. And they could see you parked. So if you don't want people to do that, take your name off the back of your vehicle. I know a lot of people who took their names off. Actually, Kevin, I adore Kevin, Camper Van Kevin. He took his name off he got a new vehicle when he sold his PT Cruiser, which was, 4 years ago? He never put his name back on his RV. That was his choice. And Nomadic Fanatic, Eric, he took his name off of the front of his windshield. And he took it off a tater tot, I think, off his little vehicle, his little car, his smart car. But yet, when he's parked and he wants people to know this is his camp, he does have a banner he puts up. And he did that when we were at Schoolie Swarm. We all parked together, and he invited everybody to his camp for movies and karaoke and dancing and having a good time. And he had his banner up. And that was his choice. He's a great host. And Kevin's a great host when they invite you to their camp. And Aja's an awesome host. And Nomad Ranch are awesome hosts when they invite you up to their camps. But remember, you need to know what the rules are. You don't walk through somebody else's camp. That's anywhere you camp, whether you're at a LTVA, in the desert boondocking, or at a campground. Don't walk through somebody's camp. Don't walk your dog through somebody's camp. Don't let your dog piss on somebody else's camp, on their chairs or on their tarp, whether it be a Harbor Freight plastic tarp or a really nice mat or pretend grass. So,
Mom, privacy, please.
Don't let your pet piss or shit on somebody else's camp. Train your dog, especially your boy dogs that just lift their leg and pee all over people's tires. Don't do it. It's very impolite. Again, it goes to etiquette and character of you as a camper, or me as a camper. When I was camping out in Florida and I invited a lot of people, several people to come and join me, I really wasn't aware of the rules. That was a couple years ago. Nomads in Paradise. That's what I called it. And I said, hey, I'm going to be camped here. This is a great boondocking place. I already have a permit. I could be here for a month. Come and camp with me if you want. If you don't have anybody to spend the holidays with, come and spend the holidays with me. And I had several people join me. Some of those people, Southern Goodness, Kate, love her, sweet lady. Living Free Mike, and he had a friend with him. I forget what his friend's name was. Rick, I think. I don't remember. Rossi Poo. Ross. Who else? Full Tiny House. And Mike came. And Lance came. And there were other people that came. But this is what happened. I didn't know. New Normatic. He was camped somewhere else, but he came over and spent Christmas with us and had Christmas dinner with us. The thing is that I didn't know, because I've never had my own camp before. I did have my own camp, but I didn't have one where I invited people over and to have an event and have dinner and enjoy a holiday. So Ross came up to me and asked me, is it okay if he asked me if he could invite somebody over to the camp. And I said, well, what are you asking me for? And he goes, because it's your camp. I said, what do you mean it's my camp? It's open to anybody can come camp here. It's not my camp. All you gotta do is pay your fee. It was $3 a day, or buy a pass for $27 for the year. And he said, no, the first person who parks and sets up a camp, it's their camp and it's their rules. And before you invite anybody, you have to make sure it's okay. I'm like, well, and you get to tell them where to park. And I'm like, well, gee, I'm done with telling people where to park when I retired from being a police officer. That's in the past. I don't want to tell people where to park. And I said, you know what? Katie was like, well, Katie asked me, she invited Living Free Mike. Is it okay? Do you mind if Mike? Not at all. I said, oh, and sure, Living Free Mike. I adore, hanging out with him. Have him come over. And Mike. Oh gosh, I've known Mike since my first RTR. Yes, and with Caravan Carolyn and of course. I said, but you know what? I says, Katie, I'm designating you as the logistics person because I don't want to be telling people where to park and how to park and and who can come and who can't come. So she started laughing, because I told Katie she could invite and be in charge of inviting and logistics. The person who sets the camp up, the first person who makes a camp and invites the first person is in charge of the camp. It's their rules. So that's the Nomad camping etiquette. LTVA camping etiquette is different. And campground camping etiquette is different. I watched someone, a boondocker who I've never seen really travel or talk about their travels. They just sit and talk and tell you really good information, products, etc., and great websites. Person's a go-to person when it comes to learning, resources for being a nomad. But they were saying something about lights. Well, if you don't like lights, twinkly lights, if you don't like to be on a campsite that's all lit up, don't camp with me. I am a light person. I put lights all over my camp. I put lights like as if I'm decorating my house for Christmas. Yes, I love lights, and I have my flag flying high, and I put a light on I try to put a light on my flag because that's the proper way to fly a flag. And I have lights all over, which really kind of, lets people know, hey, somebody's got a camp over there. Oh, that looks like RV Rebel Girls camp, whatever. I don't necessarily hide from people, but I get it because there's sometimes when you just want to be by yourself, like right now. And when I went to the last van build, I was 2 miles away from the van build itself. And people make comments. Why are you telling people where you're at? Listen, if I'm afraid of people knowing where I'm at, well then I need to go back and live in a sticks and brick because somebody could follow me home there too and kill me and break in my house. Life is what it is, and I'm not going to live it afraid. I want my space to be respected. And that's what a lot of what it's about. If you go to a campground, they have a sewer. If they don't have a sewer, they have a dump station. Usually. At most places. Sometimes they don't because sometimes you got to go find a dump station at a Love's gas station or something like that. But just because you neglected to go empty your tanks doesn't mean it's okay to let your gray water out and your neighbor would have to smell your stink. Yeah, your stink. I know it's a gray tank, but it stinks. Sometimes worse than a black tank. And it's not fair to your neighbor to have to smell your stink. Don't dump your gray tank next to another camper so that the breeze takes the odor into their home. Rude, inconsiderate, downright disgusting. Now, if you're at the LTVA, there's a dump there too. Don't dump your gray tank on the ground so your neighbor has to smell your stink. Go to the dump. Don't be a lazy ass. Yeah, I'm being blunt. If you're out in BLM land, okay, sometimes the rules are different there. Some places out in the middle of nature, you can bury your poop. I know it sounds gross, but you can. You can bury your poop. And if you're going to go ahead and water the plants so that you don't fill up your tank, pick a designated area to water the plants or to water the sand. That's not right next to somebody's camp, because you know what? After a while, it starts to smell. I don't want the smell while I'm sitting outside barbecuing. Make sure it's far enough away that when you water the plants, everybody else doesn't have to smell it at their camp. When you're all staying in such close proximity. If you're going to have a potty tent, set it up a little ways away so the wind isn't blowing the smell into somebody's camp. Treat other people like you'd like to be treated. That's what's important. When people are out here camping, I have a YouTube channel. Not everybody has a YouTube channel. I have a lot of friends that I camp with that do not have YouTube channels at all. None. And, they don't want people coming into their camp and be bombarded by all these people who want to see somebody with a YouTube channel. And I wouldn't be invited everybody out there on YouTube to come to your camp. That's like inviting people over to your neighbor's house for a barbecue when it's not your house. And a lot of it's just about respect for the land, respect for your neighbor, your fellow nomad. Yeah. And without getting off on a tangent, I just wanted to bring up these items. Now, I've been talking for 36 minutes here, but of course I'm going to cut some of this out. In Quartzsite, I'll only be here for a couple more days. I'm a happy camper. Be safe out there. Be considerate. And don't blame everything on YouTubers. Because the majority of the nomads out here are not YouTubers. They don't have channels. They don't do YouTube. They don't even watch YouTube. Many people are just nomads, RV'ers. We're all just trying to live our best life out here. I hope you live your best life, because life is just too short. Please have safe travels, and I'll see you down the road. Thank you for watching me and watching my channel. Mwah.
And if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down,